personal bonhomie that we have seen. The personal chemistry between the two leaders is well known here, Geeta. We have that image on our screens. Let's go full frame with that picture that we have now of Prime Minister Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin, who are now traveling in the same car to the destination of their bilateral meeting. This bilateral meeting is of very important nature, given how significant it is, given the backdrop of India being punished, punitive tariffs, almost 25% being imposed on India because India bought crude oil from Russia. Prime Minister Modi essentially highlighting, the two leaders choosing to highlight and tell the West that this is an all-weather friendship here, Geeta, a friendship which has weathered many storms, and how Russia and India have stood firmly with each other.
Well, on a lighter note, Maria, it's like the two leaders are carpooling, saying, okay, we have to go to the same destination, might as well sit in one car. And
that's a good way of analyzing it, actually.
And they're headed to Ritz Carlton, which is where they're going to hold that meeting. But this picture was taken just moments ago. So in some time, you will be seeing the first pictures come of the big meeting between President Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is significant. It's going to be a very important one, like I have been saying it, because this comes after all the backlash that India has received from the White House, from President Trump, for having bought Russian oil at the time when Russia really needed a friend. India stood by Russia, India stood by President Putin. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what comes of this meeting and how they're looking at resolving this entire crisis. One important way of resolving the crisis, Maria, again, would be if President Putin and President Zelensky come to the talking table, negotiate terms and conditions, and find peace, lasting peace, not temporary ceasefire, because that's the only way that President Trump will then have the honor of having actually mediated a peace between two countries, rather than the one that he claims to have, which is India-Pakistan. But he'd actually have the honor of having mediated peace between two very important and countries that have been fighting for a very, very long time. This war did not begin with the operation or the invasion of Russia into Ukraine recently. It is long before that, when America continued meddling in Ukraine and Russia affairs. The NATO card that was that always was dangled to Ukraine, and now Russia and Ukraine realizing that they're never going to be a part of NATO, and Russia making that a clear red line. Trump, the United States of America, accepting it rather than pushing Ukraine into that war, into that conflict that U.S. always did for decades. Yes. So the immediate resolution would be, and a sigh of relief for India would be, if Putin and Zelensky can find peace, because that certainly will change how the geopolitical dynamics are working today. White House will look at Russia very differently. Engagements will begin again. Maybe some of the sanctions will be off, and Russia and India will not have to go through this entire rigmarole of what percentage of tariff now against India.
Yes, and India-Russia ties, remember, have been marked by deep, enduring partnership across defense, energy, economics, and diplomatic spheres, which have been underpinned by strong historical and strategic cooperation. And that is something which is on display here in that image which has come in now. Let me bring in Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, it's been a partnership, dialogue, an equation, a relationship of decades, something that we see play out between Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin, even as they carpool to the destination of the meeting.
So it's at a super luxury 5-star hotel here in Tianjin, the Ritz Carlton, where the Russian president is staying. where this meeting is taking place. But the fact that the two left together and left in the same car is a very important signal. The warm hug that you and I were talking about when President Putin and Prime Minister Narendra Modi met and they walked hand in hand together. So, there are many signals here that both India and Russia together are sending out to those who say this is Modi's war and why isn't Modi, he's a good guy, and that patronizing attitude of those close to the White House, Peter Navarro et al., when they say that he's a good guy, but why is he friends with Putin, or why is he friends with the dictator? This is India's response to those people, that we don't need Western validation on who our friends are and who are friends who've actually stood by India through thick and thin. The Russian-Indian partnership, and I'm not even taking you back to 1971 when the Americans sent in the 7th Fleet and the Russian fleet then came in India's defense, or the two divisions that Russians had on China's northern borders at that point of time in the 1970s. I'm not even going back into history, or 1999 when Russian T-90 tanks were taken out of the Russian army inventory and sent to India post-Kargil, when there was anticipation or apprehension that the war could escalate to another sector and India wanted a mightier armor thrust. But this is a relationship that's withstood the test of time. The fact that India is a nuclear submarine operating country, INS Chakra first came from Russia. The technology, the kind of technology Russia has shared with India, no other country is willing to share that kind of technology with India. The BrahMos supersonic cruise missile, that was a game changer in Operation Sindoor, or the S-400, though it's a missile defense shield, it was used in an offensive role to bring down a Pakistani AWACS some 324 kilometers deep inside Pakistan. All of that show how India and Russia operate so closely together, and it's a friendship that's withstood the test of time. And this is a signal both from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Not only do they walk hand in hand, they drive together to the same hotel in the same car, and then the meeting that will take place at the Ritz Carlton. So many, many important signals here for those who want to pontificate, and if they want to escalate further, they may feel free to do so. But India does not kowtow either to the west or to the east. India stands firm is the message that India is sending out.